Welcome back to the Kind of Funny Gamescast. As always, I'm Tim Gettys, joined by one of the coolest dudes in video games, Greg Miller.
Don't tell my wife, but I have so far eaten 4 cookies today, and I am ready for this podcast, and I got a little bit of coffee left over.
Oh, the Cookie Monster with his little coffee. Of course, we have the Nitro Rifle, Andy Cortez.
Ready to Mountain Dew rise and grind right here.
There it is. There it is. That's my gamer boy. Roll over. Let me scratch that belly. Come on.
We have the new face of video games, Blessing, Adeoye.
I got my water. I'm ready to water and slaughter. Water and slaughter.
Pour it on the ground. Fill it with bourbon.
Oh my God. And of course, joining us is the hype man himself, SnowBikeMike.
Since everybody's else doing it, I'm refueling, rehydrating, and replenishing with Gatorade.
The only way you know how.
There's no Gatorade in there.
There's not a chance there's Gatorade in that. This is the Kind of Funny Gamescast. Each and every week, we get together to talk about video games and all the things that we love about them. You can watch it on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or roosterteeth.com. If you want to get it as a podcast, search your favorite podcast service for Kind of Funny Gamescast, and we'll be right there for you. If you want to get the show ad-free, if you want to watch it live as it's being recorded, if you want the exclusive post-show, patreon.com/kindoffunnygames is where you want to go, just like our Patreon producers, Omega Buster, Tyler Ross, Delaney Twinning, Julian the Gluten-Free Gamer, James Hastings, Casey Andrew, Elliot, and Tom Bach have all done. We appreciate all of you so very, very much. Today we're brought to you by ExpressVPN, Credit Karma Money, and Dr. Squatch, but I'll tell you all about that later. Boys, it's crazy. I feel like we are at the dawn of video games at this point. We are weeks away from E3. Games are starting to come out left and right. We're getting all the nice little, like the AA and less out of the way here before the AAA monsoon, torrential downpour begins.
It's a monsoon! Do you ever think of that when Robin Williams says that in
Jumanji?
Good movie.
That reminds me of that scene where it's just like, what, a little water never hurt anybody, and he's like, yeah, but a lot could kill you.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit,
so
water's never been more scary than this.
Mystical,
but bless, we are days away from, as of recording this today, we know that on Thursday there will be a Sonic the Hedgehog press conference thing of some sort. I want to hear your final predictions going into it. What do you think we're getting?
I think we're gonna get the announcement of Sonic Colors coming to probably Switch, I imagine, because there was that leaked thing that we got earlier on. I hope we get a new big Sonic game announcement. I would want it to be a 3D Sonic, but like a good 3D Sonic. And like if we're doing like the Gatorade get hype moments, right? Like I think a get hype one would be Sonic Adventure 3. You know,
that
just
would be
do it.
Insane.
That would be insane, and I think part of them might do it, right? Like when you think about what's a good next move for Sonic, you know, after coming off of a bunch of games that seem like they were trying to start something new, right? Like Sonic Boom, Sonic the Lost Worlds, Sonic Forces, like all of these different things didn't hit. Sonic Adventure 3 would be the thing that I think would get people excited in a way for Sonic again. Either that or a Sonic Mania 2, which would be like the dopest thing, but also I'm just not hopeful that that's in the slate. But I would be excited if that was like, that would be the most hype announcement. But my prediction is that we'll get a tease at a new 3D Sonic, and then also Sonic Colors, and maybe some other Sonic games are coming to Switch and other platforms.
Do you think we see a teaser or trailer for Sonic the Hedgehog the movie 2?
No, I don't know if this is the right place for it.
Really?
Yeah, no. Like, do you reveal a new movie trailer at like just a random?
You show a scene, show a teaser. And Schwartz and him are eating ice cream. Like, this ice cream's great. And then Knuckles is like, "Is it? I have a carrot." And like, oh no, we'll see you in theaters. 2021, we're back.
Tim, what do you think? Do you like, aside from even like movie stuff, what game stuff are you expecting? Also,
I think we'll get a tease of the movie of some sort. It might not be substantial. It might just be, you know, some CG something or other. But I think we'll see that. I think the Sonic Colors thing is fairly an easy bet. My get hype dream would be Sonic Mania 2, but I'm definitely not expecting that. But I think Sonic Adventure 3 would be the most overall exciting moment of holy crap, they're actually doing it. But
Andy,
we'll
why do you call me just now?
Here's the one thing that pisses me off about Discord, dude. When you right click on somebody's face to like raise or lower the volume, that menu doesn't go away unless you click somewhere else. So I click off of it and click into Blessings thing and somehow start calling in a private chat.
Let's take this to a private room.
Let's have a conversation about Sonic.
The funny thing is,
Big
like,
the cat got Andy going.
if you're watching, right, you saw Andy leave, and then you probably saw my face go like, what the fuck? Because I saw I saw the thing go, Andy's calling you right now, and part of me was like, do I answer it? Do I answer the call?
It's like the real Andy. He's like, the Andy in the call isn't me.
Don't answer it.
Moving on from Sonic a little bit to Bless and Greg, you guys didn't get the time to do a PS I Love You after the announcement of this State of Play situation. What are you guys expecting for what we're getting on Thursday with the Horizon State of Play?
Blessing.
I mean, obviously, we're going to get gameplay finally. I think that's the big thing we've been waiting for a long time. I think the big question is, do we finally get a date? Do they actually put a stamp on it? Do they give us a month? Do they continue to double down on 2021? And I'm scared to make the prediction because them doing the State of Play makes me think, yeah, they're going to double down. They're going to say summer or fall 2021. But another part of me is like, don't hope. Just let it happen. Don't hope. Just wait for it. See what they say and get hype after. Greg, where are you at?
Yeah, it's a similar place where, of course, we did one of those classic PS I Love You XOXO things on Monday afternoon, right? Where we talked at length about the next 7 years of PlayStation 5. But also, is Deathloop the big game for PlayStation? Is it the big exclusive for the fall? And it was that question of, well, it's this or Horizon, but is Horizon really coming out this year? And it was this whole idea of like, well, you're on this run up to Ratchet and Clank, so clearly let Ratchet and Clank speak until it's out, then start talking about it. I thought there'd be a State of Play maybe end of June, July coming out to talk about this, but putting it here, like, yeah, we're gonna see it, we're gonna get to start knowing more about this game, and the fact they're putting it here and talking about it makes me think they are going to confirm that, yeah, it is still this year and they are still coming this way. And there was a couple great different questions on Games Daily today laying it really out of like, how we look at Last of Us and Ghost last year for PlayStation and how those State of Plays, just gave it the windows between, all right, cool, like, here's where the game's going to come a few months later, a few weeks later, a few months later. And like there was a writer, Dan, who wrote in, who was putting that all on the board here, trying to say that, he makes it think that Horizon's coming sooner than we think it is. Because I think we all keep jumping to fall, but what if it was a July, as this guy was trying to say? What if it is in August? What if it is early September, which I think are all pretty likely. But it's either going to be, I think they say nothing about the release date in the State of Play, or they will, I think, announce that it's coming further. I can see any permutation of this where it is, they don't say anything about release date, and then there's some blog post that still mentions 2021. I could see it them actually, saying 2022, like, hey, this is where we're at, and the game looks great, but we do need more time to cook on it. Yada yada. Show you something to get you excited for it, but then also be like, we're going for spring next year. But any of that is. It's just all over the place. I don't know. What
if they give us a date in July or August, does that do anything for you in terms of God of War? Do you think that means that God of War may come out sooner than we think?
No, God of War is not this year at all. Nothing changes that.
Take
for me.
it to the bank.
Because I would say there's no way Horizon Forbidden West comes out in July. But if they prove me wrong, who knows what fucking drug they're doing over there?
It won't be July. I think it'll be September.
Shift everything back 6 months to a year. Like,
if they're going to do it this year, it's going to be September. And if they're not going to do September, it'll be next year.
I feel September is the right Horizon time that they'd be aiming for. And I feel like we're going to get that date this week because of the timing of all this. And I know that what the whole industry is doing at once doesn't necessarily mean that the other people need to listen. Like, release dates are kind of set to a certain extent with best intentions from the developers and publishers. And what other people do doesn't necessarily affect them, but I do think Sony planting their foot down on a date with Horizon this like early before E3 at least gives them everyone else some time to maneuver their dates if that they were to not want to be trampled by Horizon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that like that, if September was their goal, I think July and August might be a little too soon for it, but I wouldn't be surprised with the September date. The fact that they're showing 15 minutes of gameplay at this thing.
Yeah, the sooner that you get it out, the more you get to avoid Zelda Breath of the Wild 2. is a big thing, right? Because that game's over the horizon too, no pun intended. That game is going to come out, right? And it could be this fall, it could be next year, and both of them are like it seems like both of them are kind of waiting to state this is when we're coming out. Obviously because they're being worked on, and they probably don't even know, but Could like
Also,
that is a reality that could come to fruition, that those games come out in the same month again.
Also, like, we're getting 15 minutes of gameplay. We saw, what was it, 30 minutes to an hour of Cyberpunk 2077 in 2018. So, like, I do feel like this gameplay, Tim, is definitely more trustworthy, right? Of that this isn't just some super polished vertical slice of the video game. But yeah, when it comes to like, they're showing us gameplay, I don't really take that as a sign that it's coming sooner than maybe later.
And the other thing to take away from it too is remember when Last of Us had its State of Play, Last of Us Part 2, State of Play, here's a release date, and then what was it, like a week and a half later they pushed it? Like totally. Even them coming out and doing this, and it could be what you're saying, right? Of like, let's get ahead of E3, let's kind of own the conversation with not only Ratchet dropping right at E3, but what people will be looking for and getting into all these conversations about what's happening for the rest of the year, and then after E3 in July push it. You know what I mean? I could easily see that too.
What I want to know is
convinced that God of War Ragnarok is not going to be a full game. I'm still convinced it's going to be more of a Miles Morales or Lost Legacy type situation. And
I feel like you would have said that by now.
I mean, where would they have said it?
Yeah, they haven't said anything about it though, right? That's the thing.
Like, I feel like you would have followed up with a blog post or something. Like,
a lot of them posted on YouTube about it.
If you return and come out and now say that it is like, hey, this is a scaled back God of War, instead of it being like however long God of War, 25 hours, it's going to be a 8 to 10 hour experience. I feel like you are, unless it is coming out this year.
That's what I'm saying, though.
If it's coming out this year, then maybe that's a thing that people understand more. But if it's not, then it's like, oh man.
Again, my argument against that is that the whole buildup for the ending of the God of War 2018 is all about leading into Ragnarok, which like it tells us that like that's like the sequel that they want to be about. For God of War Ragnarok to be more of a Miles Morales just doesn't make sense to me. For like a God of War quote unquote 2 to come after that, like they're building up to Ragnarok,
especially hyping it up that much.
Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't make sense for it to be a Miles Morales level game where Miles Morales wasn't the full sequel. It's not like Miles followed up on like the post credit stuff in Spider-Man 1 and stuff like that. So it's just like,
Tim, if you're right, I'll go to your house and watch a movie with you.
Shit.
Oh shit, that
means a lot to me.
I'll drive too. I won't Uber. Yeah.
Oh
shit. Damn. See, what I want to know regarding Horizon is there a unique gameplay hook? Like, is this just, hey, here's more Horizon Zero Dawn and it's beautiful and it's the world and the mechanics or is there a twist? Is there like
I think it's going to be a Doom or
weapon?
Uncharted. I think they're going to add either some sort of zip line cool doohickey thing, you go from Doom to Doom Eternal. They add oh gosh, what did they add?
Doom to Doom Eternal
platforming, mantling, right?
Yeah, a lot more of the platforming type stuff. And then when we go to Uncharted, we add the rope or whatever, and that's sort of the big addition, and that changes the way the game is played. I think they add some sort of traversal mechanic. I don't know what, maybe. How about a jetpack? You get a cool jetpack.
Oh my god!
Greg, what do you think of that?
She basically breaks off part of a machine and then straps it to her back, and that's hot.
For Horizon, it's something they already teased when they were doing it. I don't know how many people picked up on it or like had real conversations, but somebody wrote into one of the shows about it. Of like they've already shown the swimming stuff, which is new, right? So you figure you now open up an entire new biome underwater of what kind of robot dinosaurs you're going to get and what's going to be down there. Megalodons, the Meg. Remember that movie, Jason Statham?
We got to find a cooler way to swim. I don't want to be swimming slow mo like she was in that trailer. I need like a jetpack underwater type stuff.
Okay.
We need to make need to make moving up there feel as good. Yeah, Dash and Parry down there.
Down there. Down
oh yeah. I mean, I feel like this is an out there idea, right? But like, what if there is multiplayer? Like, what if there is like a co-op mechanic? Because that's the thing that's been talked about
for a long time.
Yeah, and rumored, and then I think the rumors were shut down. But coming off of Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Tsushima Legends and what they were able to do, right? Like Legends came out of nowhere. And what if it is like, hey, by the way, you can play co-op? What if that's a thing?
So last question I have about this PlayStation thing for you guys. So they said 20 minutes for this. They also said that there's going to be a like multi-hour countdown.
Starting at 9 a.m. A countdown you've never seen before.
Yeah, so that starts at 9 a.m. But then the actual thing starts at 2 p.m. And they said in 20 minutes and 15 minutes of it is Horizon. That leaves 5 minutes. Do we expect that just to be hey, Ratchet's coming, here's an update on an indie game maybe? Or is there a chance that we get a major announcement with this being potentially Sony's E3 placement?
Finally, we get Hades for the PS5.
Everyone's puzzled.
Well, it's that thing of like them. Yeah, during the state of play, we will debut the Horizon Forbidden West gameplay reveal. In this 20-minute exclusive segment, you'll be seeing about 14 minutes of brand new in-game action. See, for me, I read it as in this 20-minute exclusive segment, you'll be seeing 14 minutes of. I think it's going to be 20 minutes on Horizon Forbidden West. I think they're calling out the fact that there's a grand total of 14 minutes of brand new in-game action.
Maybe the rest overall of it is people at Guerrilla
talking.
Yeah,
talking heads. Well, whatever explanations they're doing and stuff like that.
Cool.
But I also don't think that it eliminates the chance that you could have something tacked on before or after. Before we get into Horizon, let's talk. The disembodied voice.
Sword in our chat, in our live chat, which you can join by going to patreon.com/kindoffunnygames, brings up a good point of maybe a Zero Dawn like remaster, like maybe like we get a little tidbit of like a update, like a PS5 update or something like that.
Oh yeah,
that's really good.
Yeah.
Because this already came to PC, right? Horizon,
correct. Yeah,
Zero Dawn. I can't. That went from being a rumor for so long, I can never keep up. So yeah, you could have a PlayStation 5 full on bells and whistles, everything.
The port could use some work though. Let me just throw that out there.
Yeah,
just throw that out, that little tidbit.
Thank you. I'm catching it. What you're putting out there.
No problem.
Speaking of the work, though, SnowBikeMike's been putting in the work in a game I like to call, and many other people like to call, Biomutant.
Tim, I have been putting in the work right there. I am 16 plus hours into Biomutant. I have beaten the story and moved on to New Game Plus. And I have full on
gotcha
this game. Oh yeah, it has. It got me, and I have a lot of thoughts, and we're gonna definitely break those down and talk about it. But the grand story of this is, I started off slogging through the game and really hating it, and it probably about hour 3, it really breaks open and allows you to go explore and do a lot of what the game wants you to do. And that is when the open world bug bit me, and I just kind of hit the zone out button and just had fun running around and exploring this world. So I know a couple of you guys here joining me today have played it, and I can't wait to hear what your thoughts are, but I guess I'll give the quick rundown of it. Of course, this is Biomutant. We've been talking about this game for way too long. I played it back at E3 2019, and it's cool to finally have it out from Experiment 101. People have been on social media saying that it was created by 20 people. So the team of 20 have put a lot of work into this big open world game. It's set in a post-apocalyptic world. It's a third-person open world action RPG. And there's a lot of systems in here. There's a lot going on in this video game that I like, that I love, and that I don't like. So, I can go really in depth on it if you guys want. You guys feel free to ask me questions or tell me what your experiences were. But
start with this, SnowBikeMike. You say we've been talking about it for way too long. I feel like Biomutant is a game that it just came out of nowhere earlier last week, maybe, where people suddenly were talking about Biomutant. I don't remember. What is Biomutant? What is the elevator pitch on this game?
See, I think what caught people's eye, Greg, a long time ago, if you saw it back then, was that cute, almost Rocket Raccoon looking Fury.
I lost him. Do you hear him?
I hear him. Yeah.
Looking, I'm talking to you, Greg Miller. I'm talking to you.
You cut out completely on my end. I'm sorry.
No,
I think everybody cut out.
I think a lot of people caught on to it back when they first saw it a long time ago, because it did look like a Rocket Raccoon hack and slash type combo based game. And I think a lot of people saw that and they were like, ooh, that's eye catching, right? I think that was what we talked about Biomutant. It's eye catching with a pretty good looking open world. It has these creatures and main character where you're like, wow, like that's cool. That's different. Almost like Horizon, right? When you first saw Horizon, you're like robot dinosaurs. Now you got me talking. This one has really cool mutated animals throughout this open world that caught people's eye. And I think the big drop off was knowing that it got pushed so long. And then, yeah, Greg, now, I mean, Tim asked it, 2 episodes, maybe 3 episodes ago on Gamescast of like, hey, this game is coming out. It's like, well, finally. And also, where did this come from? And I think it's just in that THQ Nordic like stable where it's like, okay, we got a lot of games. Let's get these things out here eventually. And so it was their time.
I think Greg was kind of confused of where it came from, because this has been a game that's been at a lot of events, Greg. Like something that people have been demoing for 3-4 years now.
Yeah, it was
it's that name that I can recognize the name, but like when you like, I would have. It's just so generic at this point that before we were seeing it, obviously now. But like I had no like I remember Biomutant at all. When then all of a sudden everybody's talking about it coming up.
I'm similar to where Mike is and what Mike's talking about in terms of it was revealed. I remember being super into the trailer and being like, "Yo, I gotta play this game." And then it was just stretched out so long that I had kind of lost hype for it to the point where a few weeks ago when we did that whole what's coming out over the next year Gamescast, when we got to Biomutant, I think both me and Mike were like, yeah, like is this for real even coming out? Because it just feels like it's been so long. It's like it's just hard to believe. And it was to the point too where there was a different game, Mutant Year Zero, that had it's kind of a similar style to it that I thought was Biomutant that came out. And so like that came out, and I remember Biomutant being brought up again, and I was like, hey, did that like is that not out? Did it not come out? But Mike mentioning THQ Nordic, I feel like it's such a relevant thing when it comes to what this game is and how we talk about this game, because THQ Nordic still, I guess, not relatively new anymore because they've been around for a while, but it doesn't feel like they put out a bunch of releases.
Thick Nordic.
Yeah, like what was that? Thick Nordic?
Thick Nordic. Yeah, THQ.
Thick Nordic. Yeah, and so like this Biomutant for me, when I started it, I've only played like the first hour or so of it. Immediately struck me as a THQ game in the way that it's AA and weird and quirky and also low quality in a lot of ways. When I first started it, you're presented with like the character screen where you make your character and you do all your stats and all that stuff, and you can create like a very unique little rodent thing. And that's actually what I want to ask Mike about, since you've beaten the game. What is your take on the character build system and how much that actually affects how you play? Like, when you built your character in the beginning of the game, did you end up really playing that build, or did it end up being a thing where it was like, oh yeah, I can build my character anyway, but this didn't really matter as much?
So on the character builder side, I got a lot of thoughts here, Blessing, and I'll answer your question right off the bat of, yeah, it gives you about 5, and then there's also a pre-order race that you can get as well if you pre-order it that we did not have, but like it gives you 5 different races, we'll call it first, that really heavily impact what your character's strengths are, whether it be the telekinesis abilities, whether it be, dual wielding weapons, whether it be shooting guns, and then it also affects their look, right? And so a lot of that plays a factor into what you choose look-wise for me. I noticed, Blessing, at the end of the game, it did not matter what I chose there, right? No matter what, you're going to be able to do abilities, no matter what class you pick. You're going to be able to hack and slash away. You're going to be able to use a gun. So it's not like that really is a big factor. There's also resistance, which I noticed, like, it doesn't matter on the resistance. Enemies have small powers that are going to be in your resistant field, but in all honesty, you're going to shake that off and just keep playing no matter what. I think it just comes down to the look for me, Blessing. And so that was a big issue for me, is 4 out of the 5 are just real mutated, ugly looking rodents. And then one of them is as close as you can get to the cover art, right? And I think that's where everybody was like, I want to be that cover art guy because he looks dope. There's only like a small chance that you will even make it close to that guy, because after that, you go into your class. And then for those 4 classes, they also change how big you are, how small you are, how lanky you are, and it all mutates differently. And I really was disappointed in the character creator, and I did not like any of that. But at the end of the day, no, it didn't affect me at all if I picked the Ranger as opposed to the telekinesis guy, or if I picked the generic commando. It all felt the same at the end.
Yeah, I ended up restarting the game again because I didn't like what I had chosen initially. And what I noticed, like, I think it's a really cool creative way to have a character creator. Again, what Mike is saying is the character changes its look completely. And when you think of, Greg, like in Madden or NBA 2K where they have the circle with the 5 stats around it, and like up might be scoring and the top right might be, assists like or whatever. And you can kind of move that star chart or whatever. And that's the way this works, where at the top is like health, and then it's power, which is like your melee attacks, and then maybe intellect for your magic abilities or whatever the hell. And you can kind of move this circle. You can be a jack of all trades and kind of keep the circle in the middle, and your character will kind of look the way that it is after you choose the 5 races. Here it is.
Look at that. Look at Bear with the B-roll.
And then, but the more that you drag it towards one end or the other, the character, maybe if you move it towards intellect, a higher intellect, the head will grow a lot bigger and your body will shrink. And it's really interesting. Like, these are all the races right there. And again, the only one that I liked that I thought was cute enough was an intellect build. I didn't go for it because I was like, well, I don't want to be a magic guy. I want to be a melee type player.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? After a couple hours, this shit doesn't matter. I'm going to restart.
I want to be cute.
So I did restart, and I went for the cuter of the race that does have a high intellect. And like Blessing was asking, I don't think it really matters a whole lot. You get a couple of extra bonus points, but it isn't the end-all be-all that your character is going to suck at melee. No, you can just level that up anyway, and it won't matter. But character creator, pretty robust, I would say, when it comes to not only the overall shape of the enemy, but then you can change the color of... There's all sorts of different, like maybe you have like a white mark on your face and you can change that to a blue mark, but then you could move the slider and there'll be 2 black marks on your face and you can change it. Like there's a lot of different options and variety, and I think that's super badass. But yeah, like Mike was mentioning, you do get into the gameplay and you realize, this shit doesn't really matter. I should have just made the dude how I wanted them to look, and then you just level up anyway, and then who cares what your starter class is, because you're probably going to change it midway through when you find better weapons and modify a bunch of weapons and guns and armor and things of that nature.
Yeah. And you're also going to wear full gear the whole time. So don't be afraid to like put on any color you want or mismatch the guy. Like you're going to wear so much gear over him. It's like any RPG you play.
Yeah.
Like when you play Elder Scrolls, how much do you really see your character? Very, very lightly. There's never a scene where you actually like see his face that much either. There's not much cutscenes with his face in it. So in all honesty, like, you're going to wear gear over your guys, so you don't have to go crazy. Because I remember I made mine yellow and blue, and immediately an hour in, I was like, damn, I shouldn't have made him yellow and blue, but I was committed anyways.
You're making your guy look cool for about 45 minutes of gameplay. I'm about 10 hours in. I think I've given up on it. I think it does combat really well. At first, I was very iffy on the combat. I thought it felt a little too floaty. But once you get into the rhythm of it and the parry mechanic, I love, obviously. Got a good dash mechanic.
A good dash. It's got to have that dash for you.
You can combo together gunshots and then melee. I started off with a dual wield mic with the dual wield daggers, and then immediately you find a cooler weapon, and you're no longer dual wielding. You're one-arming, or two-handing a bigger weapon for slower attacks. This game does so many different things, and I think it does them all kind of above average, and some of them not so great. I think everybody's score so far, Tim, of like 6.5 to 7 is perfect, because this game does like a lot, and I think it's a little too overly ambitious, and I wish they cut down like 30% of the systems they're trying to implement and really focus on maybe just combat and maybe just the weapon modification, because that stuff is really cool and robust and it feels, meaningful. But Mike, how do you feel about the upgrade system? Because when I keep leveling up and unlock the little dog tag like upgrade points or whatever, I look at all the skills to unlock, and all the moves that you want to unlock are already unlocked.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a whole lot to unlock from there on out. And if I say unlock one more time, Jesus Christ. But yeah, how do you feel about the way the upgrading works? Because I thought it was like, wait, what am I actually trying to upgrade? Most, like 80% of this is already done.
Yeah, so I agree with that. The upgrade system was kind of Blair's right, because when you look at it, you start off with, what are you going to put the extra 10 points into your stats? Strength, health, charisma or whatever. And you just move past that. And then when you go to the dog tags part, like you talked about, you'll go down each weapon, and there's 2 upgrades for each of them, right? One combo, another combo with range, and then vice versa every single time. And so once you level up and max out each one of the weapons you actually use, then you get into the general, Andy, and like the only things after that is like upgrade your charisma for easier bartering, or upgrade your movement speed, upgrade the ability to get more loot. And so it felt kind of pointless on that. But after that, you get into the next set, which is your good and bad choices and the powers that you get from that. And you also get the radiation powers. So that's where I thought it really shined, because now you get to look at these cool powers that you can play on. And I regret, because what I chose was all good playthrough, and you get points, but like the biggest one was 16 points. And I didn't unlock that until about 12 hours in. And so I held on to these points where I could have spent them at 4, 6, and 8, and had these cool telekinetic powers that I wish I could have shown off, like the freeze and or the bubble. And I waited till the end to get the lightning bolts, and the lightning bolts were totally lackluster, and it really soured my mood, because I waited so long to get the cool, psi powers is what they call them, and I never used any of them the whole game until the end. And so I really encourage people, like, when you get those radiation buffs, spend them on the small ones, right? Don't go for the turtle cell at 16. Spend them on the small ones because you get to have an extra level to the combat, like Andy said, right? You're going to be hacking and slashing. You're going to be shooting. You're going to parry and dodge. And then the next level to that is adding in these cool abilities that if you're somebody like me who waited till the best stuff at the end, you're going to miss out on the fun because you could bubble up. You can put little mushrooms down that send people flying or yourself flying. You can jump up and over things. And it was like, man, I really missed out on having fun with that extra layer of combat. And that's all through the upgrade system that you got to keep an eye on.
So what about it was fun then? Because you're talking about like you missed out on the fun there. Like what made you play all the way through it and then turn the corner and then want to do new game plus? Because yeah, it seems like what Metacritic 68 on it right now. Like
68, yep. So I think what it really comes down to, and we'll have the discussion at the very end of it, was this hit that open world, just kind of zone out gameplay for me, right? And what it was as well is the world is beautiful and the creatures are very cool, right? And the creatures show up periodically, but every now and then you'll be riding your mount through this cool looking world, whether it be in the red rocks, whether it be in a swamp, whether it be up in the frozen zone, and you'll turn a corner and all of a sudden this big enemy will jump out, and each one of them is so unique and different looking, right? You'll fight a giant rat, or you'll fight this giant cat that's dressed as a bumblebee. There's this weird alligator thing out there.
You ain't no bumblebee.
And I'm telling you, every single time you came by those, you're like, wow, these are really cool and different looking. I think that's kind of the hook of the game. It's like, hey, look at this weird, like mutated animal, and that's what you're fighting. Of course, when you really roll it back, there's 4 big bosses called the World Eaters, and those are currently eating the roots of the living tree that you're protecting, the World Tree. And so you have 4 big bosses, similar to a Breath of the Wild situation, where you got to go find them and kill them. And then on top of that, you also have an arch rival. And so there's so much going on of go over to the kill this World Eater. Let's rinse and repeat the missions, right? You got to get this transport vehicle that will take you to the World Eater. But before that, you got to get it gas. And then after that, you got to get it distraction animals. And the only way to distract it is these little tiny creatures that you catch. Oh, you did all that? Okay, now you can go over there and fight them. And so each World Eater is actually unique and pretty cool. They're very similar fight style, very similar kind of settings where you fight them, but each one was very cool. The first one's super electric. The next one you fight out there is in the middle of a mountain range. The third one is underwater. So those are cool, and I liked that. And also, man, there's so much going on here, guys. I can tell you, there's a lot going on.
Much.
Because not on top of that, there's still the tribe system that we didn't even get into. There's 6 warring tribes that you have to bring together or destroy. And so you choose right off the bat the good side or the bad side. And what happened to me is you took down 2 of the warring tribes out of the 5 or 6 that there are. And actually they came to me and was like, hey, here's the deal. The other tribes see that and they're really pleased that you brought us all together. Would you like to bring them all together now? Or would you like to continue your conquest and battle them? And I chose, in my mind, wrong. Because I chose, bring them all together, which means all of those missions, all of that is just completely gone. It's done. You've united them all. So that means every single time
and that takes
you
away
do
a lot
the
of combat
things,
too.
A lot of combat, and I didn't get the weapons, Andy. So each one of those tribes has a special weapon at the end of them, right? And so because I didn't fight their tribe leader, I didn't get their weapon at the end, which I was really mad about because some guy had nunchucks out there that I didn't get to try or play as. So that was a big downfall. But you'll see in a lot of reviews, the word rinse and repeat, the same thing repeated over and over again. That's what these missions are. And there's not really a fun way to go about it, right? Like you think of the different ones that use outposts like Far Cry, right? Where it's like, hey, you got to take down this outpost, but do it however you want, Greg, right? You can go shoot out a bear and let him come into the cage. You can let the whole place on fire. You can stealth snipe. You can drive in with the car and kill everybody. On these, you have to go through this very linear mission, right? You either bust down the front door, you fight the first guards, the second guards, you get to the final champion, and every single one is like that. So there's not really much freedom in this giant open world game to create your own narrative and create your own story. So it just feels repetitive over and over again. And that's where I got into, like, you zone out, right? Sure. This is one of those games you get lost in the world and you just go from one side quest to the next side quest. Go do this, go do that. And they have cool little moments, but I mean, it's going to be very repetitive for most. And that's how a lot of games get.
When it came to the tribes, I was like, oh, I'm going to infiltrate this one area, right? Because they won't let me go through the front door. I'm going to find a way to sneak in. And there was a hole in the geometry of this big base, this big encampment. And I found like a way to kind of jump up on this roof and kind of get, and I jumped in, boop, cuts me out, throws me out to the beginning of it. Like they kicked me out as if I was like, oh, so you're not going to let me do this. Okay, I have to go like the boring route,
very specific,
the same way route
and stuff
every
like
time. Yeah, like I wanted to infiltrate from, within and try to take everybody out. So that was kind of a bummer. A couple of other bummers. I immediately muted the narrator. Good lord.
Yeah, that's the pro move. If this is a game that you are gonna want to get into, mute that fucker because it's
mute the narrator. Yeah. And I don't think he's bad. It's the way it's implemented, the way everything works. I wish everything just worked like Hollow Knight, where the animals, if you're not going to have full voice acting, you're going to give all the animals this sort of gibberish. You walk up and they're like, being blank, don't, bing, don't, and that's fine. Just give me subtitles. But the way it happens is you walk into an animal, they talk in their gibberish for about 1.5 to 2 seconds. And then the narrator pops in. She says that so-and-so is coming for you, blah, 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 which you might want to do. And I'm just like, I gotta mute you, dude.
It feels very like storybooky in a weird way, and it just like it also
it's way too much.
Yeah, and it also I don't think fits the tone of the like I agree. Like the direction they gave him, he did a great job, but like I don't think it fits with the tone of the rest of the game. So I like experiencing it where it's just like the game is just translating through subtitles to when they're doing their cute little noises.
I think the biggest problem with it is that again, this game has a lot of stuff going on in it. And the narrator has to explain all of these systems. And when your game has this many things happening in it, the narrator's he never shuts the fuck up. Like he's just always going because
when there's always this much stuff in this game,
there's always a new thing to explain to the player. And it does sort of, make you kind of overwhelmed because goddamn, how am I going to remember? I'm catching these fucking critters now. What do they do? There's so many things happening in this game. And I wish that they just focused on the combat and the sort of the open worldness of it, I think is fine. I enjoy that loop of taking out enemies, taking out NPCs, going to enemy encampments, but making it, just make it a little bit more interesting. The thing that really bummed me out was fighting the first boss, Mike, where you can't enter certain enemies down below because it might be too cold and you'll suffer from hypoxia damage. And in order to survive down there, you get in a big sort of mech robot that you kind of walk around in, and
awesome.
And that's how you traverse from in those sort of it's either it's too cold down there or it's radiated or whatever. Either way, your robot will protect you. The thing that sucks though is that I finally traversed through all of that in my mech suit, and it's definitely not as fun moving or fighting in that thing as it is just fighting as your character. Like you're not doing crazy cool combos. You're kind of just shooting the cannon guns and you're jumping and melee attacking. So that makes the combat and traversal immediately less interesting as it would be if you were just your character. But then I arrive at the world boss, the world eater, the first one, and I have to fight him in the mech suit. And it is the most least interesting fight I've ever had in my life. The most least, doesn't work that way, Greg. Doesn't work that way.
It was fine. Just power through podcast.
You're just shooting the motherfucker with this mech suit, and it's not fun. And I want it to be more interesting. And then at the very end, he eats you, and you're inside of him, and you got to kind of like slash at his heart, and then he dies. And it was like, fuck, that was so lame. Like, I really wanted to just be my character. I don't want to be this stupid robot anymore. And maybe I could have gotten out of the
and
suit.
He doesn't want to be in the mech suit.
It's unbelievable, Tim. It's unbelievable.
I got bad news for you, Andy, because the next 3 ones, you're going to be on top of a different kind of suit every single time.
Oof.
The second one, you ride a horse.
Like,
the third one, you're in a submarine. The fourth one, I forget, but you will not leave that kind of fight.
It's frustrating because, like, why am I harping on, how I play the game with combat normally? Why am I concentrating on that so much? Why am I learning how to do combos? Why am I unlocking psi powers and these cool abilities if the world boss fights are just going to be getting the fucking robot and do the gimmicky thing? And so that's pretty disappointing. I think this game, again, just lower down the scope. Let's tighten this shit up. And we could have had something really, really good here, I think.
The one question I have is when we first saw the game, I think all of us were excited by the character design and just like how cute and cool it looked at the same time.
Yeah.
And you guys talk about create a character that you're kind of limited and really only one of the options gets you how you want to look. What about the supporting cast? And Andy, we're doing Pixar in review right now, and like the cast of characters is like the most important thing about those movies to give it the charm. And this looks like it has that charm. Does the rest of the cast kind of back that up?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so far. I mean, they talk in gibberish, and I'm just annoyed by reading the subtitles that are what the narrator is saying, but he's muted. So the subtitles are never what the character is saying, and they don't pop up immediately. And so I'm just kind of annoyed with everybody.
It's just like it's almost like this. You feel a lack of personality because it's not like you're getting like the dialogue directly from them and like drawing out like how each of them act. You're getting it from a different perspective of a voice who doesn't belong in this world. So it's a very weird disconnect with like how character and plot is being delivered to you. It's yeah.
Like in Hollow Knight, it's gibberish, but I'm reading what they're saying, and some of it's funny. Sometimes it's really neat, and you're getting this cool backstory and maybe the type of warrior that they are in this universe. But in this, the subtitle is you're reading word for word. They think that you are a danger to them, and that's like you're reading it as the narrator. You're not getting what they're saying directly to you. So I mean, I think the characters look unique and cool, and there may have been a really good chance to have those personalities, but other than just kind of talking in different voices, like that's all it is.
It's adorable when they do it. There was one that I think was like literally spoken kind of like Elvis, like you have like a little flashback to when you're little, and like there's this like rocker dude, and he like talks like that, and it's really like little cute things like that. But yeah, I totally agree with Andy of like just
he's out of date. He's that guy out of date.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
video games are crazy.
When he was like really young. Yeah.
When you don't play them, you haven't seen it, you hear people talk about it, and you're just like, where the fuck did Elvis get involved?
I don't know. He's like the one of the animals that you're like raised with.
He's got like a rockabilly vibe.
Yeah, he's got a rockabilly vibes, and he like that's like his little like gibberish stuff. Like it goes to the tune of like rockabilly stuff, which is little things like that are every once in a while kind of funny. A similar question from the chat. Madeline was asking about how's the story. Is it interesting? I'll start off if we want to move over to here. Is just that while I think the world is really like unique and interesting, I think the actual plot and story is very Breath of the Wild, Ray and the Last Dragon kind of setup and plot that we've seen kind of over and over again. And I don't know if y'all agree on that or what.
Yeah, it isn't driving me to keep playing. I wanted to keep playing just because of the combat, and I had fun playing it. Oh, there goes Mike. His internet may have shut off.
Who's Mike fucking calling now?
I'm getting another call.
It's Mike's. Mike may have. Whenever Mike exits a Warzone match, sometimes the internet cuts out. Maybe this is a new thing. Maybe it thinks that he's playing a Warzone.
I don't know if you guys realize this. Mike's been frozen for a while. I've been staring at him. He just had the same expression, and I was like, he seems like he's had the same reaction to a lot of these statements. Then I realized.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know, Barrett. I think it's. I don't think it's anything awful. Right. I think it's a decent story that is good enough for this world, right? It doesn't need to be anything wild. There's a tree of life, and these world eaters are trying to get to it, and you got to do the thing. And
it's nothing like super. I wouldn't say it's straight up bad, but it's nothing like super inspired and like other similar stories that have like similar plot setup and just a narrative. I think have done it a little better, and so yeah, it's not. It's definitely
again. I just wish they implemented the narrative better. I wish they found a better way to tell this story as opposed to this narrator, which I wish the game was a bit more obtuse in a way. Have you all heard of this game called Hyperlight Drifter?
Oh no, my never. God!
Hyperlight Drifter has it's just a special feeling world, and you don't get a whole lot of hints as to what's happening, but you might talk to people and they may tell you stuff. I wish it was more along that vibe as opposed to take 5 steps and this is the world of blah blah blah. He's not gonna want to see that. And actually, it's an English guy. This is the world of blah blah blah. Do that voice, Greg. Oi, governor.
Oi, governor, this is the world of blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah.
that's exactly what it is. Anyway, kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a good game.
It's not a bad game though. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like it's one of those things where you are frustrated that it could be great.
You can see what could, you can see
For sure.
the hints of
And
greatness in
the
it.
game is gorgeous. I think exploring is fun. You find a lot of sort of broken down, ruined neighborhoods or landscapes that you go and you find cool loot, and that loot you can then you might find a cool helmet or whatever, but then you have that add-on that makes that helmet more powerful because it gives you more armor. And you see all these little add-ons happening in real time, and you see these modifications happening, and it's dope. Like customizing guns is really, really cool. You might have like a blade that is electric, and you can add a better handle to it if you found maybe the handle to a katana. But maybe that katana handle isn't as powerful as that one, hammer handle that you found earlier. So you add that on, and it all just adds up. And I think the modification stuff is super deep and really good, honestly. But I think it's just the story and the characters and a lot of things like that are just kind of holding me back. I don't want to be riding in this machine and then fighting bosses in that machine. I want to traverse as myself. Fast travel's great. They let you find a lot of fast travel spots. You find posts and you piss on it. You take a little pee-pee, and you actually pee. Yes, pee. You do see a splash of yellow urine fall on the ground, and that's like you're marking that. And you can then fast travel to all these spots, and it's great and it's convenient. And we love when games make stuff convenient like that. But yeah, it's just missing. Well, no, it's not missing anything. It just has too much. It's in fact,
it's missing executing on many of the things.
Before we keep talking, though, let me tell you about our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Dr. Squatch. Real talk, the soap or body wash you're using, it's no good, okay? It's packed with harsh chemicals, synthetic detergents, and it's brutal on your skin. If you're ready to step up your game to soap that's natural, great for your skin, and doesn't smell like a middle school locker room, nobody wants that. Dr. Squatch is where it's at. Dr. Squatch is changing the way men approach hygiene with their natural personal care products that make you feel like a man and smell like a champion. All of Dr. Squatch's soaps are made in the USA using the finest ingredients nature has to offer. Dr. Squatch's soaps come in a huge range of natural, manly scents that are going to transform your shower. Whether it's their best-selling pine tar or scents like bay rum or cedar citrus, I have one that I've been using that's grapefruit IPA scented, and it's fantastic. If you really want to make it easy on yourself, you can also subscribe to Dr. Squatch, just like hundreds of thousands of other people have. Every month, fresh bars of Squatch show up to your door. It's super easy, and then you're staying clean. Right now, new customers can get 20% off on orders of $20 or more by going to drsquatch.com and enter code DSCKFGames. That's drsquatch.com, DRSQUATCH.com. Use the code DSCKFGAMES. DSCKFGAMES for 20% off on orders of $20 or more. Next up, I want to give a shout out to ExpressVPN. When you use the bathroom, you always close the door behind you, right? It's because you don't want random passerbyers looking in on you. Why would you let people do this when you go online? Using the internet without ExpressVPN is like going to the bathroom and not closing the door. You don't want to do that. Come on. Did you know that your internet service provider like Comcast or Verizon knows every single website you visit? It's kind of scary stuff. Definitely for me. And what's worse is they can sell this information to ad companies and tech giants who will use your data to target you. ExpressVPN puts a stop to this. It creates a secure encrypted tunnel between your device and the internet so that your online activity can't be seen by anybody. I use ExpressVPN. It's fantastic. Why wouldn't you use it? It's just great. Great protection, great privacy. If you're like me and believe your online activity is your business, secure yourself by visiting expressvpn.com/kindafunny today. You can use the exclusive link expressvpn.com/kindafunny and you get an extra 3 months free. That's expressvpn.com/kindafunny. And finally, shout out to Credit Karma. Credit Karma has always been there to help you make better financial decisions, and now they want to help even more. With the Credit Karma Money Spend account, you can be rewarded for good money habits. Credit Karma Money is a brand new checking account where you can win cash reimbursements for making purchases. When you use your Credit Karma Money debit card, you can win daily instant Karma purchase reimbursements on items up to $5,000. You just pay with your debit card, and if you win, you'll be notified on the spot, and your instant Karma cash will be added back to your spending account. Fantastic stuff. Who doesn't love free money? I know I do. Right now, you can visit creditkarma.com/winmoney to open your free account and start winning instant karma. That's creditkarma.com/winmoney to sign up for free and start winning instant karma. creditkarma.com/winmoney. Instant Karma is sponsored by Credit Karma. No purchase necessary. Exclusions and terms apply. See rules. Banking services provided by MVB Bank Inc. Member FDIC. Maximum balance and transfer limits apply. That's creditkarma.com/winmoney.
Again, I saw Brian Altano talk about it and mention, I'd rather play a game where a small dev studio does too many things rather than like a boring, bloated AAA game. And I agree with that to an extent, but I'd rather, I just think it's too overly ambitious.
Yeah,
cut down
and
some of the systems out of here, and I think you'd have a really, really damn good 8 out of 10 as opposed to like a 6-ish, 6 out of 6.5.
And even though this is an experimental kind of like indie small studio game, like it does in a lot of ways the different parts that come together feel like a bloated AAA game in some aspects. And it's I agree with you on that aspect, Andy.
Mute the narrator. Mute the narrator.
Mute the fucking narrator. Oh my gosh.
Mute the narrator.
But the last thing I will say is, like, even though I'm definitely down on it, like a lot of other reviewers, I do think there will probably be a very hardcore audience like this for this game, kind of like Immortals Phoenix Rising, where I call that game one of the most generic games I've ever played, but a lot of people really love that game. I think a lot of people will.
Immortals also like reviewed better than this game.
That's true. I think people will still like Biomutant. I do think there's heart in it too. Like even with like how low I am on the game, I do think there is heart there that you can see in between the cracks of all of the different things that are happening in this game.
Mike, do you have any closing thoughts on this?
Yeah, this is a solid 6-7. It's a good game. It has a lot going on. There's a lot of negatives, a lot of positives in it. And if you can catch this game on sale between the window of $20 to $40, then I would recommend it. At $60 right now, and for what I just played, I would not recommend anybody checking that out. So if you can catch this game on sale and you're really interested in an open world with some really cool characters, pretty basic combat and skills things going on, pretty basic story as well, then I would get this. But as of right now, I'd skip it at full price.
Before we move on to talking about Knockout City, Greg, you put up a tweet that I want to know the context of. Explain yourself.
Today, as we record this, it is, of course, Tuesday, May 25th, 2021. Today on Kind of Funny Games Daily, we were talking about Sonic's 30th anniversary, the upcoming event that we were going. It was me and Gary Whitta with #1 Sonic fan, Blessing Adeoye Jr. there. And at some point, Blessing floated that, of course, Sonic is more popular than Zelda. And I forget how we got there. Sonic the Hedgehog is a more popular IP than The Legend of Zelda, which Gary Whitta wanted to go to the mat and argue about. And I was like, no, what are you talking about? Sonic the Hedgehog is more popular.
I was there to back up Gary. He was not in this alone in the battle.
But it's a ridiculous statement to say.
Yeah, but like you guys never came down an actual good conclusion.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
The thing that kept getting brought up was that like the Zelda games are better, and I'm like, yeah.
That's
not what I'm arguing.
Like that's what Gary. But like your argument was that like Sonic is more of a household name, like Zelda isn't a household name. Like I just
not at all. You just said more of a household name, indicating that yes, Zelda is a household name.
Yeah,
it is. I believe it is.
But yeah, and Sonic is more popular. It's the circular argument, and it's like I'm making a very clear statement that Sonic is more popular than Zelda. Not that Zelda isn't popular, not that Zelda isn't a household name. You're looking at me, who I'm also a very big Zelda fan. As a reminder, I love Zelda.
I heard you.
Sonic is more popular.
Zelda as much as you hate Miles Morales.
Breath of the Wild, literally my favorite game of all time. Sonic is more popular.
The Sonic cartoons
that poll
make it
is
more
a travesty.
popular.
The poll's a travesty.
The poll is a travesty.
No,
right
the
now,
poll is
69% of people are saying Legend of Zelda. Look, Barrett, the poll makes sense. You're trying to tell me that you think the question, what's the more popular IP? The answer is The Legend of Zelda over Sonic the Hedgehog?
Yes.
In absolutely no world,
Sonic the Hedgehog has had a cartoon for every generation since it came out.
How well does
There's been like 6 or 7 of them that are popular.
Here's what this discussion is.
If they were popular, there wouldn't be 7. Like they wouldn't have to keep rebooting it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, just like Spider-Man. Just like the Spider-Man cartoons.
Here, we're doing the planets. What planet is more popular discussion? It's like, look, I don't give a fuck that Mercury has rivers of steel. That's a cool fact. It's not a popular planet. Mars is a popular planet. That's what we're doing here. It's a household name. How many movies talk about Mars? You know, Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ. Let's talk about Knockout City. Craig Miller, I want to take you off the bench. Go for it. Knock me out.
Hold on. I got to tell my wife I'm okay. I am okay. It was about Sonic. It was
too many cookies.
Sonic the Hedgehog.
No, you just got to put it was Sonic the Hedgehog, not it was about.
Jen's like, oh my God, what the fuck? Are you okay? You can't scream like that and then go quiet. Knockout City, ladies and gentlemen. What a fucking game. Are you kidding me right now? You want to talk about something? Knockout City, of course, was a preview we sent the old SnowBikeMike to months and months and months ago. And I remember listening to him talk to Gary and Paris about it on the Xcast. And it seemed like, oh, okay, cool. A dodgeball, third-person dodgeball game, whatever. And then, of course, it was announced that it was going to be on Game Pass. And then, of course, it was announced that it was going to be the Knockout City's Brawl Party, Block Party, where for the first, 10 days, it was going to be completely free on all platforms that you can play. Of course, this is cross progression. This is cross play. It seemed like, man, EA, who has all this money, obviously, throwing it around in the right ways of giving this game out for people to actually jump in. It wasn't in any way locked behind anything, no progress gating, nothing like that. And we jumped in on launch day, and I have not been able to put it down since we started in. Like, it is so much fun. It's just a great time I'm having out there. And it's all of us playing together. But it's also, when it's not me, Barrett, Mike, Blessing, Andy out there throwing some balls, as the kids say.
Yeah.
I am playing solo, and I am jumping into things, and I am running around and doing it and just having fun with it.
Blessing.
Am I wrong?
It's a terrible game. No, it's a really, really fun game. I'm surprised by how it's one of those ones where, like, over the weekend or over the last week, there were people tweeting about like, oh, Knockout City's so good. Oh man, I can't believe how much fun it was. And I'd read those and I'd go, sure, we'll see about that. And I played it and I was like, oh no, this is actually like a really fun game. And the more I play it, the more fun I have with it. Tim, I think I described it to you earlier, is like it feels like an EA Sports big game. Like, it has that kind of energy to it where, it's not about it's not about the sport of it. It's not about it's a dodgeball game, but it's about fun at the end of the day, right? It's about having fun. And they've really nailed down like the how to simplify it the most they can, but then add just a bunch of fun elements onto it. It has the whole bit of it is like you play in an open arena and you try to hit your opponents with balls. You usually have 2 health bars, and so 2 health points, I should say. 2 hearts, and then if you get hit twice, you get knocked out. Is the whole thing. But with that, not only are these stages littered with just regular dodgeballs, but there are also special balls, and so you'll have the triple ball, which basically means that there's 3 balls in one, and so you can ball. Yeah, the multi-ball.
Yo, fuck the bomb ball. Fuck a bomb ball.
The bomb ball is the worst
thing in the game. They need to take it out.
The bomb ball is the worst one. I'm also not a big fan of the cage ball. I get really annoyed when I get hit with the cage ball.
I love griefing people with the cage ball, like trapping them in and then throwing them off the map. It's so fun.
Yeah, there's moments too when you get them in the middle of the map with a cage ball. You're like, oh crap, and I gotta find another ball or hit him into something. I mean, I think Blessing nails it. Of like, what works for it is that, it's this multiplayer only game, and you can play 1v1, but multiplayer only, and going out there with a team, and it's so simple an idea that, and what I've been describing it as when I talk to people about it, right, is like it reminds me a lot of Calling All Cars from PlayStation 3, where that was a game that when it dropped on PlayStation 3, it was one of the first multiplayer games that was around for PlayStation 3 that I was into. And I remember playing it and doing it and learning the maps and learning the points and learning choke points and learning like where I wanted to take special things. And at a glimpse, both this and Knockout City and Calling All Cars, right, but transitioning back to Call It City, I think looks so simple. Get the ball, throw it into somebody, be done with it. But then it is about learning the meta of it. It is about, getting into understanding how your mechanics work and how you feel in it. Of, pegging somebody with the ball and then popping up in the air to get it back from them, or, checking somebody because you can run it, you can check them when they have the ball. They fly away, the ball goes straight up. So if you can jump up and then be aiming in the right spot, they peg them with it right away, you're on it. And even, after multiple nights and days of playing it, and again having a great time with it and putting a lot of hours on it. Jumping in with Mike and Andy 2 nights ago, and it was that thing where Mike had been playing all day too, but with different people, and we got in there, and it was all of a sudden about calling passes and getting that extra bonus there, and then the fact that because as you volley the ball against other people, right? You throw it, they catch it, they throw it back at you. The intensity of the ball starts going up, and so as long as you don't get hit and you're volleying it back and forth, you're gonna see the speed at which you throw increase. But with the pass, there's a little thing of okay, cool. If you pass, you jump a few levels, meaning that people aren't expecting it when you throw it. So if your target, there's a whole bunch of stuff to it that I think it looks to be that whole, simple to get into, difficult to master, where you get in and there are so many different elements and so many, you can obviously throw straight on, but then there is the curveball, there is the overarching lob and stuff like that. You start really mixing in mechanics and styles. That's where it starts getting really intense when you have these games. And when it's clicking, when you are in that kind of game and you're having that moment and just getting the dodgeball hitting somebody, that sound, it's so satisfying.
It's so satisfying too. And it's funny because it mirrors the actual sound of a dodgeball hitting somebody. But in this game, it gives you that feedback. You just got a kill in Call of Duty, which is the craziest thing ever. And I think another thing this game does well too is the fact that it never feels unfair. At least for me playing, I've never felt how I felt when I jump into a game of Apex and I immediately get killed in the first 20 seconds, and I'm like, damn it, man, they keep getting the best of me. It being a standard of 3v3, there have been plenty of times where I've been by myself because my teammates just got murked, and so they're reviving or they're respawning, and it's me versus 3 people, and I still feel, even though I'm outnumbered, even though I'm probably gonna get murked in that moment, I still feel like I have a chance, and it is still fun going about that. It's still fun having that 1v3 challenge, and at least trying, and sometimes getting the best of them, and that is the most satisfying feeling.
And I tweeted about this the other day that I don't think we would be talking about this if it launched like a lot of games launched, where you're running into server issues, games are getting canceled. Now, granted, it's not perfect, right?
No, not at all. I think load times are a bit long, and I think it reminds me of something that is bare, again, to the calling all cars analogy, where it's you're playing the game, but then you come out and there's only so many maps. There needs to be more maps. I think there needs to be more gear and differentiators there, but it is just menus and the way they deliver information, I think, is kind of bland at times. Sorry, Andy, back to you.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I think just the way that Velen and Velan, how do you pronounce it?
I think it's Velen, yeah.
I think just the way that the game is built and the way online full crossplay and full cross progression works, and it to feel this good, where a lot of people are playing it because it's free right now, and I think you can play it for at least 2 or 3 more days or whatever it is with the block party. But the fact that it works so good and feels as good as it does, with as many moving parts as there are. Again, the first day that we played, I'm on PC. Mike is on Xbox. Greg's on PS5. Nick was on PS5. Tamor Hussein was on PC as well. We're playing on all sorts of different platforms, and it feels great and responsive. And you're not really running into a whole lot of hitching and things of that nature. Again, it's not perfect. I know some people, when I mentioned that the other day, were like, "Oh, I've had a game hitch on me before." All right, cool. But we're talking Outriders type first week status. We're talking the fact that I can't even fucking play an NBA 2K game and not feel like I'm playing on a 3-second delay or whatever. This game feels fantastic, and I just really want to shout that out and just congratulate them, because it's so hard to do that when you have this many eyes and this many users trying to get in at these moments. It's just kind of the ideal launch, where it seems to be running insanely smooth and it's so much fun. And again, the cross progression stuff is fantastic, because if I want to hop off from my PC and play on my console on TV, I can easily do that, and all of my gear will switch over. So just shout out to them for making this game work well. Or I just feel like every launch nowadays, we're used to the bullshit. We're used to Greg wanting to play Division 2 on launch day, and there's always well, servers are down, let's switch over to something else. And that's just kind of what we're used to nowadays. So,
and the fact that it's free also.
Exactly. I was going to say, I think that is such one of the reasons there's a swell of goodwill. Because I think if it was that, hey, here's this game, buy it or whatever, a whole bunch of people could say, if I wasn't getting it off of, I downloaded off for the free trial. I didn't get review code early. And so it was this idea of if everybody was saying, oh man, I'm having a great time with Knockout City. Not everybody, but even if it wasn't on Game Pass, I guess. If somebody's saying they're having a good time with Knockout Knockout City, I don't know if I would be motivated to actually put dollars down for it because I'd be like, oh, cool, multiplayer game, not really my thing. I like dodgeball fine, but I don't know. Like this one, it does seem fun. It is the same idea. That's the stupidest thing I could have said. The game is really fun. I forget where I was going. I think I was spinning my wheels to get to the point that, I'm with the argument that like, even when we get fucking wrecked, like Barry and I, we had like 2 or 3 games back to back the other night where we were God mode.
Yeah,
we were just destroying people 10-1.
And
then the game was like, oh, okay, cool. Here's a team that's way better than you, and they kicked the shit out of us. And it was that thing of like, fuck, like back to what we're talking about. Like, it's not. I'm not losing because of the game. It is very much like shit. I hit the parry button to grab the ball.
Things right. They're thinking 3D chess, and I'm still thinking 2D.
They're running together.
They're running as a squad, exactly. So I can block one of them, but I can't block them all. But it's never like I appreciate that. I like that. I want to get better at the game. I'm taking something even from the losses, and I feel the game is being generous with XP on that level too. Like I thought it took to get to forever to get to like level 10 of XP, but then once you cross that threshold, all the contracts, which are like the dailies and stuff like that, they started really clocking into where I'm like, what,
you're getting 1,000 XP for like each contract and stuff, and that's when. It's around there where you start like really completing everything, and I'm already at like level 30 or something like that. And we started playing this game on Friday, so I've been putting so much time into it. But like I tweeted out that same night, Greg, where it's like we had some matches where we're God mode, and then some matches where we got our teeth knocked out, and like I was never not having fun.
Yeah, I can't compliment enough to you how involved the game is when you're playing it. Like I feel like my brain is going at the same rate as going when I'm playing a fighting game. When I'm playing the game, where it is, running around, dodging around. All right, who has the ball? Okay, there's an opponent there. They throw the ball. I catch it immediately. I throw it right back. Okay, their opponent's over there. Okay, I gotta catch that. And, like my brain is going 1,000,000 miles per hour in a way that makes the game feel like it is. Like I am playing a fighting game where it's in the moment. Like
exactly.
I have the adrenaline. It is
like that's the thing to talk about it, right? Of like. The fact that I think you are so involved with it and so in the moment of those times where I'm sprinting down at the enemy, I got a lock on them, I curve the ball around the wall and then dash backwards because I just remember I ran past a ball, right? Or I go in there and the plan goes awry and I remember there was a ball over there and I dash that, or I try to dash into somebody. I try to get around a piece of cover so they can't hit me with the ball. Or I run, in the one with all the pipes, I run and try to get sucked up and get out of there before anything back.
He's getting emotional.
Well, I'm getting choked up. I love
it. About getting sucked up. I get emotional too, Greg.
That's a good
Andy, a lot of what you're saying reminds me of how you used to talk about ARMS for that like brief moment of time. Like how comparable is it to ARMS in the sense of like always having to know your environment and all that stuff?
Oh my gosh. I mean, this is so much better than
wow, okay.
than that. Yeah, for sure. I mean, again, I liked ARMS for maybe 3 or 4 days. I think this is something that is going to stick with us in the way that Predator stuck with us for that amount of time, where, every once in a while there will be the squad up request in our Slack channel. I think it's such an easy thing to mention whenever it comes to any games like this that aren't the heavy hitters, that aren't Warzone or Fortnite or Apex. Whenever we talk about games like this, it's always, how long will this last? How long will we be playing for? That's such an easy thing to go for discussion. But I think this will be something that sticks around in a much more meaningful way than, a Crucible or.
See, I don't know if this is going to reach it, but I could see it possibly getting into Fall Guys potential in terms of like how fun it is and like
I think so too.
Like wanting to go back to it, being around friends, being like, all right, we want to play something together. What's out there? Hey, dude, like Knockout City is still fun. Let's just jump into Knockout City because it has that same level. At the most fun I was having with Fall Guys right now is the amount of fun I'm having with Knockout City.
And you're not getting shit on by you're not getting headshotted every 2 seconds. It's not It's not like when everybody's into Valorant and then you start playing really good players and like, I fucking hate this shit.
It's easy.
You have the capability to catch that ball and to throw it right back at him and hit him and outsmart people. I think Blessing already mentioned that, but just the ease of use or the ease of never feeling like you're out of a fight always, I think, is super important for players that aren't hardcore.
How many times have we had those matches, where it looks like it should, they get up 8-5, they get up 8-4, they get up 9-4, you know what I mean? And somehow you struggle back. And sometimes, you still lose, but we lose, 10-8, where it was like, man, we were in that and you felt it. For me, with the longevity of it, I do wonder as well, not that that's a negativity, right, or a negative thing, because if you have a week with this game that, again, if you just played for the 10 days of Block Party and had a great time, you had a great time with the free game. I don't see that happening, but I do think it's interesting that I could see with us in particular and friend groups in particular that, okay, cool, we've already moved on to other things we need to review, or you at home are moving on to something that you big game, you want to play Biomutant, so you put this down for a little bit. When you come back, maybe the world at large has gotten so good that you're like, oh man, I am getting my head kicked in every time. But I go back to that stream we did with it on Friday, right, during the charity thing, where it was, instead of just us as a team of 3 going out, it was 6 of us just playing each other and hot swapping between it, and how much fun that was. That was the spectrum of, some of us had been playing for hours that day, and then we brought Nick in sight unseen and made him play it, and he had fun at the same time.
That was Kevin yesterday.
Yeah, right. Does Kevin like it? Because I'm sick of him like, oh, let's play Fortnite instead. I'm like, no, fucking play Knockout City.
I think he's coming around to it, but I could have sworn it was going to be his game, but I think he's still, because last night the Slack popped off and he was like, or we could play Fortnite. It was one of those things.
I feel like I predicted that since like we got into it when he was away and he wasn't there for that initial thing. Like I was like, man, this does seem like a game he should be really into, but because he wasn't here, he's going to be like, man, let's play some Fortnite.
I will say though, for anybody wondering, because there was some people saying, do you play on keyboard mouse on PC? Like, I play keyboard mouse on PC and it feels fantastic. So if you're thinking you have to use a controller, I don't think you have to. I think it can be played on either whatever you feel more comfortable with. But I got the sensitivity dialed up to 1,000,000 and I'm just whipping 360s. Like, because the thing is, Tim, like, you're running around, the borders of your screen turn red. If there's nobody in front of you, they're behind you.
Yeah.
Right? Immediately just 180, look around, you hear the ball kind of coming on your way, catch that shit, whip it right back at him. If you whip it right back at him, it's even faster.
Do the pump fake, get him to go for the grab.
The pump fake is the best.
You are fucked, son.
Yeah.
Like, I turn into a toxic gamer when I pull off the pump fake. Like, I start saying words to I'm not on my phone. I start saying words to myself where I'm like, I shouldn't be saying
dumb
this.
bitch.
You fucking little bitch ass.
Good Lord. To end the show, Mike, you've been real quiet. I want to hear your thoughts on Knockout City real quick to send us home.
I'm a little bit different than everybody, but I'm really happy to hear the excitement and the fun that everyone's having. And that's a big credit to EA and Valve Studios, who went above and beyond with the Game Pass deal, with this block party for 10 days, allowing everyone to try it. And you're hearing the excitement, and what this team did is unlike many others. And this is what we're looking forward to in the multiplayer world from this point forward here in 2021 and onward, is full crossplay, cross progression, private lobbies. And this team hit all of that. And that's what we're talking about when we look at multiplayer games and what you need to succeed in this day and age. We just talked about it 2 weeks ago. Hood Outlaws and Legends, gone. That game died on Contact. And now you look at this game and everybody's very excited because they got to get their free demo in. They got to try it with their friends no matter what console there is. And this game will fit into a good multiplayer Rolodex no matter how long it goes for, because of the crossplay and the custom lobbies. Like Greg said, even if you jump in 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and people are kicking your teeth in, you can always play with your friends. And so for me, this is a pretty basic multiplayer game that will come and go within the 10-day period for me and my squad, but it will always be in the Rolodex of the Predator hunting grounds, as Andy says, of, you guys want to jump into this? I'll play it, but we won't be talking about this in my circle after Monday when the block party's over.
I'm excited. Yeah, that's the thing about it, where I agree with Mike. I don't know what longevity is, throw that out, but it is a basic multiplayer game. We're all in it because it is so much fun, but what is their cadence of new map, new mode, new ball, whatever it's going to be that actually makes it feel like, okay, cool. Like, they just dropped League Play today, and I know they have a couple different modes on there. That's all awesome, but like, yeah, do we have to get our assigned group together? You know what I mean? Like, how are we shaking it up and keeping it going?
Bring in the MCU. Bring in DC.
Oh shit!
Well, I'm sure
Star
I'm
Wars.
looking at this ready to buy this thing and then being like, all right, cool.
Got money. Yeah.
Well, bring in the characters from the hit movie Dodgeball.
Yeah.
Oh,
also
shit.
true. Also
And
true.
the movie, and the characters from the movie Balls of Fury.
Yeah.
It will be
Different
very
movie.
interesting to see what this team does in the coming weeks and months to keep this fresh. You bring up new maps and new balls, but that might not be enough. So it will be coming down to game modes and what you can do, but it will be exciting to see. And Andy, you asked, you brought up how good this game feels. When I was behind closed doors with it, they brought up that they built out their own netcode for this game. I was trying to look it up in the background. I believe it's called like the Viper engine or something that they built, but they worked really hard to ensure that you have very low latency and everything works seamlessly across all these different platforms. And they nailed it for sure. When you play it, it feels good no matter where you're at. So, really big props to them.
I immediately thought of playing Outrider solo, it feeling fantastic. A duo joins, kind of spotty. A third joins. Oh my gosh, this is like unplayable right now. I'm getting so many frame drops across the board, which is why I beat that game solo, because it just felt better to play solo. And I know it's hard to do that. Like, it takes money and it takes a lot of time to do that. You can take the easier way out and, rent out servers or whatever the hell it is that you have to do as an engineer. But I'm glad that they went this route, because it's definitely worth it. And I think had they not, we'd be talking about, the game's fun, but it's a performance mess,
Well, this has been the Kind of Funny Gamescast. SnowBikeMike, thank you very much for joining us. Next week, we will return with our E3 predictions. It's going down. So excited. Can't wait for that. But right now, if you're a patreon.com/kindoffunnygames supporter, you get to watch the post show we're about to do. Blessing, what do you got for us this week?
Unfortunately, I don't have anything.
Oh, shit. Busy. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have a good old time with this post show. Coming up with stuff from my noggins. Till then, I love you. Bye.